School, the memory shared by both parents and their children. Each educator that has touched our lives has made a difference in how we see the world. They are never forgotten as we become older. The impact made by those who shared a classroom with us, specifically the friends made along the way, cannot be measured. Our educational experiences shaped and shifted who we are as human beings today. Imagine having that part of your life taken away, and there remains missing memories and the loss of necessary life skills. Opportunities to experience something new and exciting gone before you even had a chance to start. How is this possible in the world we live in today? While public education still practices the inclusion of all special needs students, no matter their financial status or learning ability, the implementation of the school voucher program here in the United States affects this population of students dramatically, leaving them to question their abilities, such as both being a contributing member to their school community and their own learning. Their ability to attend private schools has been cut short by the program, leaving many questioning the unfortunate stories to be told. I want everyone to understand that where school vouchers work for a select percentage of the student population here in the United States, there is another population whose story goes untold. There is one simple question that outlines the reality of not just this issue, but the way in which we as human beings conceive the reality of decisions made each and every day. What is the consequence of choice? We perceive consequences as human beings through our own individual eyes. Consequences seen as detrimental to our own lives may not be seen as consequential to others. Consequence has its own unique way of fitting into the emotions and the future decisions of an individual, drastically affecting how someone else might feel, even if they were not in direct contract with said consequences or the occurrence of the issue. It only makes its true impact on one individual, while the ripple effect of the consequence spreads outwards towards others. One example of a most influential ripple effect has recently resurfaced and made its mark on education here in the United States. The school voucher system here in the United States has quickly become both a crucial and concerning discussion amongst policymakers in Washington, D.C. The lack of unity on the subject disguises and prevents the origin of the story of the school voucher program from being told and what its true purpose is in modern education. It is this and countless other examples that drives our willingness to see it change for the common good. As somebody who works in a school and somebody who deals and works with special education students on a regular basis, it amazes me to see how the United States education system is improving, is making its impact on basically helping special education students carry their way. However, the school voucher program, with the way it disguises itself, truly affects how we, those in the classroom, perceive it and how we can influence these students to achieve higher learning. The school voucher system here in the United States is based upon the concept of parents' choice, that the guardian has the ability to choose a school that best fits the need of their child. These vouchers can be distributed to families who choose to utilize school vouchers in two separate ways. In 1989, the state of Wisconsin was the first to pass the usage of school vouchers, meant exclusively to benefit low-income students to the families of the Milwaukee School District. At the state level, vouchers are scholarships meant to benefit the private school option for families. At the national level, school vouchers are specifically built to benefit and assist low-income students with specific learning disabilities, giving them the opportunity to learn in a non-traditional environment, like I said, made possible almost 28 years later. In 2004, the school voucher program shifted from stateside to national, passing by the United States Congress to help benefit students in low-performing schools, very different from what the perceived notion of these school vouchers are today. The thought process behind passing school vouchers for low-income students in low-performing schools was clear and highly motivating for educators like myself and parents. As with most everything in education, however, cost does play a large role in the school voucher's effectiveness over the past 13 years, and the ability to produce positive results for special education students here in the modern education system, and today in 2017. The school vouchers will only cover costs associated with required privatized special education services, therefore leaving out the public education aspect. Therefore, funds that are going towards the public education system, therefore, are moved over to the private school system. The school voucher's goal is to cover the institutional expenses specifically, including enrollment and fees. So those who can't afford to pay on top of the calculated expenses are left out of the school voucher and private school option, which is absolutely detrimental to the students who really want to achieve, and parents that want to see their students specifically get to that next level in their education. Who does that leave to the perks of a unique and specialized education? Simply those who can afford it and have the greatest chance to obtain a school voucher. A national program designed to help those in need, but refuses to make it inclusive and affordable enough for families so that their children can benefit from it. There's something greatly disturbing and concerning about this reality. In a 2007 Pennsylvania Supreme Court case, a key example of school vouchers' ripple effect became very clear to the parents of one specific special needs student, whose education drastically changed because of misinformation and confusion surrounding the school voucher program. In this specific case, the clear misinterpretation and lack of questioning by those who actually enforce the law and the school voucher program itself. Under IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, students in the United States who qualify for special needs services within a school district are legally entitled and guaranteed a free and public education, also known as a FAPE. If the student meets the requirement of the IEP, the Individualized Education Plan, during the testing period, services outlined in said legally binding document must be given in a least restrictive and preferably inclusive environment by a certified professional. In the case of Lower Merion School District versus Doe, student Doe did not qualify for special education services. The student did qualify for therapy services under a 504 plan, however, a much more simplified version of an IEP for specific services. This process is long and is drawn out, and there's a lot to it. The document is meant for the outlining and documentation of specifically occupational therapies, physical therapies, and assistance with small portions of academics, something that a paraprofessional or a paraeducator or an educator themselves can carry out in that inclusive environment. In response, Doe's parents enroll their child in a private school within the district using the school voucher, while additionally enrolling student Doe in the public elementary school so 504 services could be continued. In response, the school district filed a hearing against the parents, saying that the student could not attend the private school and receive services at the separate institute. It was concluded, and the decision was made based on the supremacy clause here of the United States Constitution, that the state of Pennsylvania could not rule against the established 504 plan to meet the request of the public school, and that in doing so would be a conflict of interest in the part of the state of Pennsylvania and the United States Constitution itself. Student Doe was allowed to attend the private school while receiving services at the public school at the same time. In the case of Lower Merion School District versus Doe, the choice to duly enroll student Doe by the parents made sense. And this is what's important. If their child was not going to qualify for the IEP services at the public school that they felt that he needed, they might as well feel the need to enroll him elsewhere to achieve his academic goals. It can be interpreted that the family also had no issue affording the school voucher, as it was not brought up in the case for student Doe to attend this private school. One key aspect to this Supreme Court decision looms large, however, in the grand scheme of the case and the security of special education legalities. And this is something that I really wanted to focus on. Not once did the court, specifically Chief Justice Cappy, who was assigned to this case, appeal to the Lower Merion School District to speak out about the 504 plan being addressed at the private school that the student, specifically student Doe, was attending. Why would the parents enroll their child at a private school and have 504 services carried out at the public school, when it is by law the job of the school district to provide services at their institution? When the parents had applied for the school voucher, the district would have been made aware of this taking place, and the institute would have had to have seen if the student met all requirements necessary to attend the school, including the 504 plan being brought in-house to the private school, and it would have been transferred into their records. During the entirety of this case, in no occurrence documented did Chief Justice Cappy address the implementation of services at the private school, or the enrollment process presented by the Lower Merion School District. If services could have been carried out at the private school, there would be no need for the parents to duly enroll their student. The answer to this is simple and clear and kind of disturbing. The private school does not have to offer these services under the school voucher agreement. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act outlines the appropriation of school vouchers for those who qualify for services, however, does not guarantee nor legally bind the private school to implement special education or 504 services. Quite a dinger if you ask me. By the law, the Lower Merion School District did not have to answer this question. Neither did Chief Justice Cappy have to answer this question. Free and Public Education, or FAPE, regulations state that each local education agency shall provide special education and related services designed to meet the needs of private school children with disabilities specifically residing within their district. The Lower Merion School District and this private school were in cohorts. They worked with each other. The understanding amongst school districts, the courts, and the United States lawmakers is that the school vouchers cannot be distributed without an understanding that all students have the right to a free and public education. Unfortunately, there is a loophole in the system, of course. The student must be identified and qualify for services within the private school and through their testing and evaluations. Everything has to be done at the private school. Nothing can be transferred over from the public school. In the case of Lower Merion School District in the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, student Doe was coming into the private school with previously evaluated 504 plan and goals, not a plan specifically built for the private institution. Based on court record, the private school made no effort to accommodate or test student Doe to see if services could be carried out at the school, simply because they felt they did not have to. The public school was going to take care of the services. In every way possible, there is so much happening there, so much behind the scenes, that it makes me wonder, why? What is the consequence here? With over 50,000 students estimated to attend private schools through the use of school vouchers, by the conclusion of 2017, more cases such as student Doe's will begin to appear. By the year 2025, we're looking into the future here. It is predicted by the United States Department of Education that more than 51,000 students will be attending private institutions for learning, all with various learning styles. In an interview with 15-year special education teacher and Granite State College graduate Mary Vogt, we discussed the effect of school vouchers on special education in New Hampshire, specifically the Seacoast area. It was made clear to me that specifically in this specific state of the region, there is a variety of options for students who wish to utilize school vouchers. In the town of Exeter, Mary addresses the Heronfield Academy in Hampton Falls, an alternative to a local middle school that is shared by 5 surrounding towns. Heronfield Academy is becoming a hotspot for private school vouchers, especially as students leave the 5th grade, Mary explains. I cannot tell you how many request forms I've had to fill out over the past 4 to 5 years, especially for students that have 504s. Mary no longer case manages in the 5th grade, however, does hear rumblings from parents and administrators from her duties in the 4th grade. The discussions start early, Mary exclaims, laughing. It is quite fascinating to see the students' minds change once they know they are through the 4th and 5th grade, the reality that they may not see these same kids again. Mary continues her thoughts, saying, especially for my 504 kids. It's quite frustrating for them and myself when I find out they were denied admittance into Heronfield because financially, on top of the school voucher, as we have discussed, it was not realistic. At what point does opportunity trump money? Love this point. Unique learning opportunities are for all, not a select few. I found this discussion quite shocking that the cost could be so high that even the school voucher made no impact on the final price. Quite shocking in many ways. That the utilization of public money is still only a small part of the financial cost. In what world does that make sense? The consequence of choice, in this case of Seacoast, New Hampshire parents, is the cost of sending their child to a private school, specifically for special education students. This is where you, the taxpayers of New Hampshire, feel the greatest impact. You are at the forefront of these payments. By paying your taxes, You are paying for public education. For paying for public education, you are funding school voucher programs. Specifically here in the state of New Hampshire, we don't have this program yet. However, it is in the works. The school voucher process is there and it is waiting to happen. In other places in the country, it is waiting and it's going to happen at some point. So the taxpayers are at the forefront of paying for these opportunities. But what's the consequence of choice in this case? By you paying your taxes, you have to do it. But if it's not going to be for everybody, and the special ed students can't have the same opportunity and the same cost efficiencies as the regular education students or those who have money, school vouchers are a very difficult process to have happen here in the state of New Hampshire. In a recent Houston Chronicle article concerning the school voucher path, Kristen Tassin, a journalist, came to a very concrete conclusion on school vouchers. In the state of Texas, 60% of taxpayers are helping to fund the state school voucher program through property taxes. Probably not too far here in the state of New Hampshire if this happens. Throughout the United States, it is the responsibility of the taxpayer to pay property taxes and such to fund education, public education specifically. Unfortunately, there's no clear dividing line between public education funds and school vouchers, and what percentage the taxpayers are paying into each. It's information you guys need to know. After doing in-depth research, including contacting and sitting down with local education policymakers here in Concord from the National Education Association within the state of New Hampshire, no one could answer this question, and were just as puzzled as I was. How are taxpayers assured that their money is being used to utilize and benefit public education? And what percentage of that public education money goes to school vouchers? The answer simply just does not exist right now. There's no statistic that breaks down where the taxpayers' money is going. The only aspect of education that we become aware of is that educational opportunity is limited for the special needs students here in New Hampshire, and that our part in helping to make these opportunities happen for these students are unidentified. And this is across the United States, not just in New Hampshire. Other places are feeling the effects of this. Texas, Wisconsin, soon to be New Hampshire. The consequence of choice with school vouchers has become clear for students with special needs. There is no choice without a consequence. Attending a private school using school vouchers does not guarantee admittance nor the opportunity to receive necessary services that could benefit each part of a student's education. Again, something that is very much up in the air and very hard to grasp onto. When opportunity does arrive, the consequence of price becomes a sudden and scary reality for families across the United States. Do we, the American public, want to be undefined on this matter and continue to let opportunity for beneficial education slide away because of a misdirected school voucher program? Yeah, the school voucher program has potential, but in no way has it damaged opportunities for those who have necessary funds to make it possible. It has only benefited a select few when it is built to help the whole. However, there are those who have been misguided by its message and purpose and now pay the cost. It is up to us and you, the taxpayers, the local voices, and the national audience to make sure that special needs students and those at the forefront of unique learning opportunities get that chance. I am not telling you to go out and to be afraid to enroll your child in a private school and to use school vouchers. I am warning you that there is a chance that cost will trump everything that you are hoping, and that your child will experience what special needs students have across the United States, and not yet here in New Hampshire, but in many others. Your voice is the most important piece to this message. It is the one that is shared, that gets around, that speaks with other people. Be the voice of equal opportunity, like that memorable teacher that we all remember. You know, the one that advocated for us and made our education possible. We can be the voices that never go forgotten. We can be the voices of change. We can be the voices of the future school voucher program, one that benefits all and brings down the costs and does everything good for the future of this great country the United States of America.